Okay, so now, like I said, whatever appears up on the screen and any voices are going to get recorded. When you go to Blackboard, you should be fine. I promise I won't use it against you. When you go into Blackboard, the first thing you'll see is this basic announcement from me here. Most of the useful stuff, like I said, you don't have to, but if you choose to use it, will be under course information. Here's my contact information. My name is Todd Huff, by the way. All of you can call me Todd. We're all adults here, so I don't need any titles. Easiest way to get a hold of me is through email. I realize that's a little small from where you're sitting, but we'll see it a little bit bigger in a minute. I'm just todd.hoff@witc.edu. That's the best way to get a hold of me. I check my email a couple of times a day here, so I get those messages fairly quickly. If you can't get to email, here's my voicemail. The number I have up there is the Rice Lake campus number, but you can actually call any campus or the 800 number and then dial that extension 5361, and it'll take you to my voicemail. And I do have it set up so it'll send me a message to my email if I get a voicemail now. I am not in my office very often, so if you call in, don't expect me to answer the phone. It'll go to voicemail. I go to my office maybe twice a week to check to see if I have any packages or anything like that. Otherwise, if you need to find me, I'll most likely be in this classroom or in the classroom right next door here. Schedule and syllabus are coming up next year, but I want to show you. I mentioned something about the classes being recorded. Right now, there's nothing down here because this is our first class, but normally the links to the recordings would appear down here. So I'll show you from one of my classes from this summer here. So here we go to course information. There's the syllabus, my contact information, and then you can see the links to the classes. So sometimes you can click on them and they work okay, but most of the time it's easiest if you copy and paste. I'll put it in a new browser so I don't have to back up. And that'll load up. They're right on YouTube. You have to sit through the ads. And then there it is. That's what you would see, is what was on the board with any sound laid over the top of it. Use them however you want to. You can pop some popcorn, invite your friends over at night, sit and watch math videos on the big screen. If you charge admission, I get half of what you get from the door. Okay. All seriousness, let's get back to our class here. So, like I said, those are there. I don't put them up there as an excuse for you to miss class, but I understand that we all have lives, and with work and weather, sometimes you can't get here. So that's up there so you can watch the class if you can't make it in. Or I realize I sometimes talk a little too fast and you can't keep up taking notes. So you might get home looking through notes and wondering what's going on here. I must have missed something. You can always go back through the videos and pick up whatever you missed. So one of the other things on here is course schedule. This is my schedule so that you know where and when to find me. This is mostly up to date. A couple of things changed in the last week, but this class schedule has not changed at all. You guys are Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday at this time from 8:30 to 9:20. You can see that each day right after this class I am free. So if you have any questions, I'm free to answer them right after this class every day. In fact, up till 12:30 each of those 3 days I am free. And unless there's another class in this room, I will be in this classroom. If there's other times you need me, let me know, and I'll make sure I'm available for you somewhere. Just kind of a random survey here. How many of you are dairy students? And how many of you are auto? There's nobody that's pre-programmed. Okay, syllabus. Let's get rid of take care of the extra administrative stuff. There's my contact information again, a little bit larger if you need it. It doesn't matter whether you use capital letters here or not, it'll still come through for the email. You guys are all here, so you don't need to know where and when class is. Course description. In fact, more useful than that is probably this list here of competencies. These are the 8 topics for the course. So you can see We deal with operations with whole numbers, fractions, and decimals, percents, proportions, converting. We deal with a lot of measurement converting and operations with measurements. That's a big thing. And then solving algebraic equations and using formulas. Now, I realize many of you might be looking at that thinking, I've done all that before. And thinking, I don't know if I really need to see it again. There is a test out process for this class. Being a 2-credit class, it costs $40 to do the test out. When you take the test out, you have to get an 80% to pass. Now, the test out for this class has 2 sections, if I remember correctly. There's one section of about 12 to 15 questions that you cannot use a calculator on. And that's usually operations with fractions, decimals, and whole numbers, and converting between fractions and decimals, and maybe some basic percents and powers, and maybe a basic root. And then there's another section of another 30 or 40 questions that you can use the calculator on. And that would be all your measurement conversions, your solving equations and algebraic formulas and stuff like that. Percents too as well. If it's something you're thinking about doing, like I said, this is a 2-credit class, so it'd cost you $40 to attempt it. If you get 80% or better, you get back your tuition for the class, which is close to $300, I think, for this class now. You get that money back and you get credit for the class. If you don't get your 80%, if you don't pass the test out, you lose your $40 and you're stuck back in here with me. So if it's something you're looking at trying, rather than wasting $40, please come talk to me and I'll give you a little bit better idea of what's on the test and what you'd be asked to do so that you can judge a little bit better whether it's something you might have a chance of passing. And if you give you a little idea of what you should maybe look over before you try it. In the past, only about 1 out of 3 people have passed the test out when they've tried it. And the main reason for that is they look at those topics and say, oh, that looks easy, and they just go take the test, and they don't take any time to study or prepare for it. So let me know, and I'll make sure you know what to study so you're prepared for it. So anyway, let's look at materials. Required materials, your textbook. You guys should have a textbook that looks something like this. Hopefully yours is in better shape than mine. Everything we do will be out of here except for a couple of packets. Other than that, if you don't have one, by the way, if you're still looking for one, I know there's a couple of the auto tech students that are in the 2nd semester that have some that they were looking to sell. So if maybe get a hold of them if you're still looking for a textbook, you might get one cheaper than buying it at the bookstore. Other than that, for supplies, there's nothing else that's required, but a scientific calculator is highly recommended. You don't necessarily have to have a graphing calculator. A graphing calculator is kind of overkill for this class. In fact, there are some things the graphing calculator doesn't do very well, and mostly that's fractions. Just a simple scientific calculator with fractions on it is the best bet for this one. If you have one, chances are it's good enough for this class. If you don't have one, the one I normally recommend is the Texas Instruments, the TI-30. It's a couple dollars more than the Casios or the Sharps, but it's, bless you, but it's just a little bit easier to use. If you have one of the other ones, like I said, it'll be just fine, and I will, as we go through the semester, I will help you figure out how to use it if there's anything you need to know.
Some of us have calculators on our phones that we use them appropriately.
Yeah, I have no problem with you using the calculator on your phone as long as you're not, texting someone. Which, yeah, and that's, most people do. I mean, texting a math formula is kind of tough to do anyway. But yeah, unless I see you taking pictures of your quiz or something like that, I have no problem with the cell phone calculators. I will say this: I have seen very few of the calculator apps on the phones that do fractions well. I think a couple of years ago, I had a student who had found one that did the fractions pretty well, but I wasn't able to find it myself when I went looking for it. So just a little warning. The fraction calculator is only like $12 or $13. If you're okay with fractions, yeah, use whatever you want to. I'm not really picky on that one. Okay, the important part, grading. 80% of your grade in here is determined by tests and quizzes. Your tests are unit tests. There are 5 units in here, so that works out to 5 unit tests, which means the first one comes up very, very quickly. about 2 weeks from today, usually about a little over 2 weeks. Sometime in that third week will be our first unit test. So it comes up pretty fast. The fifth unit test, a lot of times we don't get all the way through that last unit. Or we go through it kind of quickly. So that fifth unit test tends to get stripped down to a large quiz or something like that. You usually get some warning on those tests. You get a day or two that they're coming up. The quizzes, those are generally unannounced. I might give you some hints here at the beginning of the semester. And those come up every 2 to 4 hours of class. And I'll explain why those are so often here in just a minute. But those are anywhere usually from 8 to 20 points for quizzes. The unit tests are usually 100 points. So that's 80% of your grade. The other 20% of your grade comes from your homework and class participation. Now, with that said, I will almost never collect your homework and grade it. I may give you a packet or something to do, and I may collect that and look at it to see if you've done it. Unless it becomes a major problem, I almost never collect homework and grade it. And the main reason for that is like this semester, I think I have 135 students. There's no way I can collect homework daily and grade it and stay sane. The other reason is we're all adults here, so I'm going to trust that you're doing what you need to learn the material. My philosophy on homework is it's there for you to learn the material, not for me to. It's your tool, not mine. And especially at the beginning of the class, some of the stuff is easier. If you do the first couple of problems and they seem really easy, I don't want you sitting there doing busy work on stuff you already know. Feel free to do a couple, skip ahead a few, and do a couple more, and skip to some of the more difficult ones. Don't sit there grinding away on problems that are really easy that you already know how to do. I'm not here to waste your time. So basically that other 20% becomes show up for class and don't upset the instructor. As you can tell, I'm really hard to get along with. So that's the other reason why there's so many quizzes is since I don't collect homework or grade homework, I'm giving them every 2 to 4 hours. That's my way of knowing whether I'm explaining stuff well enough, if you guys get it, or if I have to go back and maybe cover something again or spend a little more time on a topic. That gives me a little heads up on how everybody's doing. Okay, the grading scale. I'm sure you guys all saw this a few times yesterday, standard WITC grading scale. If you need to drop the class, I mentioned the test out. If you do the test out, you have to have it done by noon on Friday. The reason for that is Friday is the last day to drop a class and get a refund. So if you take the test out and you don't have to take the class, you'll get your money back for it. Or if for some other reason you decide you need to drop or want to drop a class in this first week, you'll get your money back for the tuition. Final grades I don't need to worry about. Policies, that's just a little note saying look up your policies in the student handbook, and all the policies there still apply to this class, of course. Academic integrity, don't cheat. There will be assignments where I say it's okay to work with someone else. In fact, on your homework, if you need to work with someone else or ask somebody a question, I'm here to answer questions, but if I'm not around or if you're more comfortable asking the person next to you, I don't have a problem with that. Just all I ask is don't just write down the answer they have. Make sure that you understand where it came from before you write it down, because at some point you'll be responsible for it. If you have any needs, whether it's a documented disability or maybe you just have math anxiety or you're nervous taking a math class or maybe you struggle with tests, come and talk to me and we'll see what we can do. If I need to get you a private room or extra time or whatever. By the way, your tests and quizzes in here always have unlimited time. So if you're not done, talk to me and we'll get extra time for you to finish it up. But whatever you need, my view is it's my job to try to give you the information so that you can get through your program. It's not my job to flunk you out of your program. So unless I absolutely have to, I do everything I can not to do that. If you're here, you're putting in the effort, I'm going to do everything I can to try to get you through the course. This is my 17th year here now, and I think only 3 times I've had somebody that showed up every day, did the homework, and didn't pass. So chances are if you're here every day, you're going to make it. Podcasts and videos, I just put that out there as a note. Like I said before, the classes are recorded. They are not posted on a secure website, so it's not like it's locked down where only you can see it. They're actually put right out on YouTube. They're not searchable, but they are accessible to the general public so other people can see them. So like I said, if there's not something you want other people to hear, don't say it in class, or let me know and I'll shut off the recording. And then just there's 5 units in the class, and there they are. Each one will have their own unit test. Any questions? Okay. I'm going to go ahead and end that recording.